Today we're going to talk about a particularly obscure Welsh creature called the Pwca. The English tried to get a handle on the Pwca by equating it with the merry prankster Robin Goodfellow, also known as Puck, witnessed Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, but the Welsh knew better. The Welsh Pwca was sometimes closer to murderous than merry, and often downright deadly. By the Middle Ages, another variation of the name, Pwc, was just another name for the devil, though by Shakespeare's time he was simply Puck, the trickster. Whether the Pwca is considered one of the Tylwyth Teg or fair family, the Welsh fairies, is itself debatable, but it did have what's considered aspects of a fey nature. Regardless, if it was a fey, it would definitely be classified as a solitary fairy. One reason it was often referred to as the Pwca is due to the fact that few, if any, accounts refer to more than one at any given time. As was true of other fey, once shown proper courtesy and respect, it was mostly harmless. Sometimes even useful, but one would be foolish to count on this. In another aspect, it was very dangerous, and in yet another more dangerous still. We'll get to that. The first problem in trying to describe the Pwca: no one really knows what it is supposed to look like, or even if it has one true form at all. In the 1950 movie Harvey, starring Jimmy Stewart, it is portrayed as a giant invisible rabbit, which is probably as good a guess as any. It is the ultimate shapeshifter and can appear as literally anything, from your neighbor, your neighbor's cat, a puff of smoke, or nothing at all. Wirt Sykes in his book British Goblins 1880 produced a charcoal drawing of a Pwca allegedly done by an unnamed witness. The creature resembled a black bird with the body of a tadpole. Whether the witness or the Pwca was just messing with us, I'll leave up to you. In many accounts, the Pwca was simply invisible, and in that guise often performed the same function as a brownie. That is, for an offering usually of milk, it would perform useful work around the house. In one story, it was tending cattle, and the dairy maid would bring its wages of milk and bread to a remote spot in the pasture every evening. One time she decided to drink the milk and eat the bread herself. The next day she was grabbed and beaten black and blue by something she couldn't see. Then a voice whispered in her ear that there would be worse coming if she tried that again. So far we've talked about the Pwca's more benign nature. Though the dairy maid might certainly disagree, now we'll get to its more sinister side. One thing the Pwca considered good fun was to take on the role of the will-o-wisp. Invisible, it would carry a lantern while keeping just ahead of another traveler while leading them off the safe path and into bogs or rocky, treacherous areas. It would then laugh as it blew out the lantern and leave them bewildered and lost to fend for themselves in the dark. Dangerous, but not necessarily fatal. Quite a versatile bogey, the Pwca. In another aspect, it would take on the characteristics of the Scottish Kelpie, or water horse, something the Irish version of the Pwca was also known for. It was supposedly much more powerful around All Hallows' Eve and would take the form of a majestic black horse. If anyone was foolish enough to try and ride it, the beast would take off at an unnatural speed, racing over oceans or forests or mountains with equal ease. Now, if the rider kept his or her head and knew how to handle a horse, the ride would eventually end and no real harm done. Indeed, the Pwca would sometimes allow them to ride it back to wherever they found it. However, if they proved fearful and panicked, the Pwca would disappear in a cloud of mist and let them fall wherever they happened to be. Over water or down a mountain, it made no difference to the Pwca. In that case, few returned. Terrifying, tricky, and treacherous by turns, the Pwca was a creature to be avoided, if it let you.